Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another VHS video. For a while now, I've been wanting to do a weapon tier list for all teen weapons ranked from S down to C. I don't think there's like a D or F tier weapon. Even C, I hesitated putting on this list because that makes it sound bad, but I don't think any weapon in this game is really bad at all. But I've been wanting to do a tier list of all the weapons in the game, but the thing is, the weapons work differently against every single monster, and there's certain weapons that are better against certain ones compared to others. So I couldn't just do a full weapon tier list like I wanted to do ever since the first beta, but I'm actually going to do 4 different tier lists, one for every single monster. This video is going to be covering Deathwire since a lot of people want to know info on Deathwire right now. I've been getting asked to make tutorials and stuff, so I might be making a Deathwire tutorial soon, but for now we're going to focus on the best weapons in the game to counter Deathwire. And by the end, after all these tier lists are made, maybe there's going to be a top weapon that's just the best against every single monster, but I doubt it, but we'll see at the end of all these tier lists. Anyways, sit back, relax, grab a drink, a snack, and let's get into this tier list. And again, before we start, this is my opinion, of course. I don't know if other people are going to have other opinions. This is just what I've gone against as Deathwire and what I've used against the Deathwire that I think is just the best of the best and the worst of the worst weapons. So, here we go. We are going to start off this video with the Shock Sphere going into S tier because I think, and I think a lot of other people will agree, this is one of the absolute best weapons against Deathwire right now. The Shock Sphere's ability right now to just charge it up right in Deathwire's face. Maybe you get shocked once. If he doesn't hit you though, you're overcharged, and then you can just charge it up again for free, and because he can't shock you again while you're overcharged. Being able to just have that kind of power over a Deathwire is absolutely insane. And plus, even if he has Nitro Booster or whatever, he cannot outrun a Shock Sphere. It's very, very fast. It gets faster over time the more you're in the Shock Sphere. But yeah, there's no escape for him. He can go to a window maybe, but if you have teammates, they could be on the opposite side of that window, and it's very hard to get to a window because Shock Spheres are just so fast. But yeah, just the mere fact that you can charge it up in his face, he can shock you, and if someone else is just like shooting a flamethrower at him or one cursed sword swing, if anything gets in the way from him hitting you, you can just charge it up in his face again right after your shock is done, and he can't do anything about it because he can't shock you, you're overcharged, and you're just going to get a free Shock Sphere up. It's very, very annoying to go against as Deathwire. I don't know what they're going to do about it. Maybe it's balanced right now, but it is super annoying to go against, and really, really fun to use against a Deathwire because he just can't do anything about it. So that is why Shock Sphere goes in the S tier. Next up, I'm going to put one of the lowest weapons against him. I feel like Flamethrower is pretty garbanzo against him right now. You just shoot it at him. If he gets out of it for a single second, it's as if he has the Savage mutation on Werewolf, and he could just insta-howl you because he could just insta-shock you right out of the flames. And then your weapon's down, and he could just walk right towards you. It doesn't seem to be very good against Deathwire. I wonder if I can track it on my stats, how many times I've died to a Flamethrower as Deathwire, because I feel like it's almost 0. I really don't think it's a great weapon against him. If you do have the long range add-on, it's a bit better because you can space yourself farther away, and if he does shock you, he might not be able to catch up because the flames will travel to him and slow him a little bit. But other than that one long range flame mutation, it just, I don't know, I haven't been bothered too much by Flamethrowers as Deathwire, and I haven't really tried crafting too many against Deathwires because they never really seem to work out. Now, if anybody else has a different experience, again, this is just my opinion, so maybe some people will say the Flamethrower is an S tier weapon, I don't know. Alright, on to another very, very strong weapon against Deathwires. I feel like, I don't know if I want this in S tier or A tier. Maybe I'm too generous or I put this in S tier, but I think I'm gonna do it. I think the Molotov is really, really good against Deathwires. He can be charging up his shock, about to shock you, and you can chuck this really quickly at him, just like a werewolf is about to howl and you throw this. And then it still lands, it still spreads fire everywhere. You can sit in the fire while you're overcharged after your shock. You can just, I mean, he can't get rid of the flames on the ground. That's the biggest part about it. It's very good at area denial, throwing it at him mid-charge, and just getting surprise ambush Molotovs is super, super strong against him. Nothing he can do once the flames touch the ground. You can sit in them, your teammates can sit in them and do whatever you want in there, and just play in the fire. he really can't do much. He has to run away, basically, if other people have weapons around. It's a quick craft as well, so that's nice, unless you have the double Molotov add-on, which is even better against him, in my opinion, because you can throw one at your feet. He won't be able to get you no matter what. Even if he shocks you, he won't be able to get you, and you still have a second Molotov in your hand to just destroy him with. So I feel like the Molotov is a very, very strong weapon against him right now, and that is why it's in the S tier spot. Next up, the Slingshot. I'm going to put it a little below the Molotov, but I feel bad doing that because I craft more Slingshots than I do Molotovs, I feel like. Especially with the 30-second craft add-on, which I just made a video about earlier. Lets you craft a single Slingshot in 30 seconds with one ammo on it. One charge. The only reason I'm putting it down lower is because it just doesn't have the same area denial that a Molotov does. You can't sit in it as long. It doesn't buy you as much time. But you can get some pretty sick snipes across the map with it. If he is in drift mode though, it's pretty easy for him to drift right out of the way or just be moving so fast that you can't hit him, or his body is just too skinny that you can't hit him. I've shot multiple Slingshots at Deathwires, and I don't know if it was a ping thing or not, but it seems like they just go straight through his body when he's in drift mode. I don't know, maybe he's just too skinny, or there's some bugs with the hitbox. But if you're aiming at the ground, it is pretty strong against him. It has the same effect as a Molotov, where if he's charging his shock, about to shock you with it, you can still shoot it mid-air at him, and it'll stick, because he kind of has to stand still while he's shocking. He can't be moving too fast, so it's pretty easy to aim at him while he's doing that, especially if he's using the shock mutation to reveal auras through walls, because then the shock takes even longer to come out. So while he's about to shock you, you just shoot one of these at him, and even if you do get shocked, I mean, he's going to be stuck with with a Slingshot on him or a Molotov. Either way, this is a very strong weapon against Deathwire. As well, because you could just space yourself super far with it. So any long range weapon is honestly really good against him. Alright, another S tier weapon. We are going with the Solar Flare. The Solar Flare, oh my gosh. I noticed right away. I think it was day 1 of Deathwire coming out. If you watched that stream, I was getting annoyed by these solar flares. They are so annoying. And then I had a team a few days ago that crafted 4 solar flares against me. Literally 4 solar flares. Yeah, that was very annoying to go against. But this weapon, I'm probably putting gameplay up on screen and stuff. But reason this weapon is so strong, the area denial is absolutely insane. That you can place it in the middle of a hallway or a gym. Deathwire can't do anything about it if he doesn't know where you're at. If you could be across the map, your solar flare is in a different area, he just can't walk through it. He can't shock the solar flare. He has to find your body and shock you so that the solar flare goes offline. So if he sees 3 people healing each other in a solar flare, even if he shocks all 3 of them, as long as the one person that controls the solar flare isn't in that area, he's not going to be able to do anything about them. He's just going to have to watch them heal. And it's so sad. I've seen solar flares get placed on crafting tables, and I just have to watch as the person crafts in my face. Even if I shock them off the bench, it's about a 2-second shock, and then they're back to crafting. I can't go into the solar flare because I gotta find the person that actually controls the solar flare and shock them. And guessing around and using your 2 shocks in random corners isn't really the best option, as the solar flare person can literally be across the map. It is so annoying to go against. No counter at all. You just have to find the person or leave the area. You can stare at the solar flare, of course, and it drains its ammo, but it's so slow and you don't really get an indicator to know how well you're doing, how low the ammo is. So super strong against him, and honestly, I think it is at the top of S tier. Again, I'm kind of thinking of this as the video goes on, but there's like no weak weapons against any monster. There's not like, there's no F tier, there's nothing. I can't say like, here's a weak weapon. They're all pretty good, and honestly, if you craft any one of these against Deathwire, you can probably get a kill. Alright, another weapon that I think is going in the C tier along with the Flamethrower is the Radiant Cross, just because it is so similar to the Flamethrower and it has the same flaws, I feel like. If not, sometimes worse, because the kiting isn't as good with the Radiant Cross compared to a Flamethrower. You can be holding a corner with a cross, and right as you pass around the corner, he can just shock that corner, catch up to you super quickly, push through the cross if he has to, just like a Flamethrower, and hit you. It's not like you can kite with it as if it's a cursed sword or a ray gun or anything. I mean, the kiting kind of works with the cross, but just not as well as any of the other weapons. Even the Flamethrower was kind of kiteable. I just think the cross is not the best against the Deathwire. And again, the flaws are that like you can be holding it down. Like, I mean, if you can get a good kill with it if you just surprise attack a Deathwire on the move and then just hold it down on him. If he doesn't have anywhere to go, then you're fine. If he does have any sort of cover at all, or if you go behind a corner or anything, he can just shock that corner, push up to you, and usually get a hit pretty easily. It's not like it has any area denial or anything. And again, the best weapons are the ones he has no counter to, which is why you see all those other ones up in S and A tier, because once they're deployed on the ground or anything, there's no way he's getting past them. Compared to these weapons, which you just kind of hold down, and you have to get a full stigma bar on him to be able to actually banish him. If he's out of it for even a second, he's going to be able to shock you, and you're not going to be having a good time. He's going to be catching up to you very quickly. No area denial at all. And yeah, he's just going to push right through it. Now again, you can get kills with these weapons. These are still very good against him. Every weapon on this list is very, very good. Very strong. I'm just putting these in here. They're the weakest of the very strong, I guess. But they're still very strong. So don't get mad at me, okay? Next up, I'm going to put this at the... Oh, I feel bad. Putting it at the top of C? The Enigma? The Enigma? I don't know. Is it B tier or C tier? Or is it even A tier? Because of the spacing you can get with it. Just the charge up of the Enigma is so long that usually, even if Deathwire runs around a corner and you've already started charging it up, he can usually get a shock off pretty quickly. And I've had no problem killing people that have Enigmas, and I haven't died to them too much as Deathwire unless I'm just drifting around the map and they surprise ambush me, which is probably why it's in a C tier here. It's really good at surprise ambushes when he's on the move, but in a 1v1, I mean, you're not going to get much out of an Enigma. You can space yourself kind of because of how long range it is if you're already spaced. If you're not already spaced, he's going to shock you, hit you. You're not going to get very far, and he's just going to shock you again. Pair it up with other weapons, of course, so all these weapons are amazing, super strong. This isn't even a tier list about 1v1s though, because if it was, the Solar Flare would not be there. The Solar Flare would be somewhere completely different. So it's not about the 1v1s. All these weapons are really good paired up with other weapons. But the Enigma itself, even paired with other weapons, like, it takes too long to shoot at the monster that you're just not going to get much value out of it, for the most part at least. But yeah, again, so the wind up of the Enigma, I mean, you wind it up, you start about to be firing at it, and he's probably already shocked you at that point. He's chasing after you. You're not going to make it very far, and he's going to hit you, and you're just going to rinse and repeat, do that all over again, because it just takes too long to fire. You can't really surprise him with it. Unless, of course, he's in drift mode and he has no idea you're there. But mid-chase, you're not going to be able to pass around a corner and surprise ambush him with one. All these, the C tier and B tier weapons, honestly, you gotta pair them with other people to help out. Deathwire is the king of 1v1s, most people say. So, yeah, a lot of these aren't going to work by themselves. But even with a teammate, the Enigma, it doesn't do much. You're going to get shocked before you can even get a single charge off of your Enigma. So yeah, that is why the Enigma is C tier with the rest of those weapons. On to the next one, the Cursed Sword. Now, the Cursed Sword, speaking of long-range weapons that also, kind of like the Slingshot and the Molotov, leave wakes and make it so that the monster can't move past them, the Cursed Sword is going in the S tier. Probably above the Molotov, honestly. Maybe the Molotov goes A tier with Slingshot, but I just don't feel comfortable putting it there. I think there's a lot of S tier weapons against Deathwire, and luckily most categories have at least one really, really good weapon against each monster, which is nice. So the Cursed Sword, this bad boy, oh my gosh, it is annoying to go against good Cursed Sword users as Deathwire. You shock them, and by that point, when they hear you charging up the shock, they can already swing so fast. They've already got a wake on the ground, and you're trying to push past it, push around the corner. You're just going to be slowed. You're never going to catch up to them. They could have 13 swings and just kite you around the map for like 10 minutes. It is so annoying. Now, the best way to counter this as Deathwire is, of course, to fake shock. You just charge it up and don't actually waste it on them, because they're going to be swinging a sword around the corner, and then by the time you try to push, you're going to be getting slowed again. But you're still going to have that shock because you faked it. So there are ways to counter this, but it is still such an annoying kiting weapon. It is the absolute best kiting weapon against Deathwire right now. because even if he does get that shock off, you're gonna be slowed because they're gonna shoot a cursed sword at you. It's happened so many times. It's almost every game now as Deathwire. People know about the cursed sword. So yeah, this is a very, very annoying weapon to go against. And definitely start crafting them against Deathwires because they absolutely hate it. On to the next weapon. Okay, so the ray gun, I'm honestly just gonna put it in B tier. I think it's a very good weapon to kite Deathwires with. It's long range as well, and I say a lot of the long range weapons are really good against him, but the ray gun itself, having to get 9 shots on a Deathwire is pretty difficult. I can put this clip up on screen, hopefully. I was against Heart Pop and someone else. It might have been Dashy with the ray gun, but 2 of them with even both having, I think, tri-shot ray guns. You can bait out shots so easily as Deathwire and shock them to scare them into backing out, or fake shock so that they start shooting it around a corner. Ammo is just very easy to bait out, basically, because they just want to slow you down. Even if you get the shock, they want to slow you down, so they're going to be wasting ammo as you charge up the shock. Now, maybe there's a way to play with the ray gun a little better, but most of the time when I'm against a ray gun, I'm not too scared as Deathwire. But I did put it above the Enigma, Flamethrower, and Radiant Cross just because I think its potential to kite, kind of like the Cursed Sword in a way, is a lot better than those other weapons down below. Just shooting him once every like 4 seconds, every 3 seconds, I don't know. Doing that could delay a Deathwire a ton in time, so it's a good time waster while everybody else crafts really good weapons. But by itself, or even with a teammate, it is pretty easy to outplay, at least on most maps. Maybe Facility is a little harder because there's not a lot of doorways the Deathwire can enter when you're like shooting the ray gun at him in a tunnel or something. But yeah, not too good of a weapon all around. But it can be very, very annoying for time wasting. But I don't think you're gonna die against it most of the time. All right, next up, I don't really know where to rank the Holy Staff, to be honest. I think it's just a good weapon in general against most things at this point. I think I'm going to put it at the top of B tier. Unless you're doing surprise ambushes, it's not too great. Or you're baiting out with a teammate. Deathwire in general, I feel like, is pretty easy to counter because he only has 2 shocks unless he's using that special mutation, but I haven't seen a single person use it yet. So if one person runs to the left, another runs to the right, and there's a staff somewhere in there, and he tries to chase any one of them, and shocks both of them, the staff can surprise ambush him, of course. This is kind of a tier list without ambushes being the main concern here. This is just the weapons in general. Actually, I think it does deserve to go below the ray gun, honestly, because like the more I think about it, I hate going against staffs. Like, they're super annoying because of the auto lock on them. Sometimes it feels like they're just, even if you try to get behind cover, the teens aren't trying, they're not aiming at all, but the beam just somehow hits on both sides of the cover. It just like swaps sides, like left, right, and it just destroys you, even if you're bobbing and weaving between cover. The auto lock is super annoying. I hate that so much, but it is so slow, like the Enigma, and most of the time when I'm chasing someone with a staff, it's not the most scary thing in the world because you just chase them, you shock. I mean, that's kind of like most weapons, but the staff takes forever to shoot at you, just like the Enigma. Not as long, I don't think, as the Enigma, but I still feel pretty safe even going out in the open and around corners without shocking first, and then preparing a shock, and right before the beam hits me, the shock comes out. So it's not good at delaying time like the ray gun. It's kind of just on its own. It's kind of just good at, I mean, outranging a Deathwire a little bit in some ways, and it's really, really good when it's a 2v1, but by itself, it is not too great, and you can't even outrun time like with a ray gun. You can't waste his time at all. You can't really do anything. So paired with a teammate, it's okay. It's probably A tier, but alone, no, it is pretty trash. All right, now the eyeball. I've considered putting this in S tier, but I really don't think it deserves that because, like, you can, as a Deathwire, you can outrun pretty much like 70 to 80 charges of an eyeball. So if he doesn't come up point blank on you within the first 20 charges, you're going to be outrunning it pretty easily, unless you have Homicycle. Homicycle's a bit slower. You might not be able to outrun an eyeball with it. Actually, I don't think you can at all. I think it catches up pretty quickly. But most of the time you can just completely outrun an eyeball. So it is pretty good. Oh, I don't know. I keep thinking of high school, the amount of eyeballs I've gone against on that map, and they are just not too bad to face because I just drift right into the basement, or just drift through there and waste all of the eyeballs charges. If I hear them chanting at all, I can get out of drift and shock really quickly, unless the eyeballs are right on my tail. But then you just kind of keep going in drift mode and pray for the best, and most of the time it works out because the eyeball just doesn't have a whole lot of charges in it compared to how fast you're moving. It just doesn't catch up. So for that reason, I think I'm going to be putting it in B tier, but at some points it is really good. I just don't know what. I feel like it's just RNG sometimes. I know a lot of people would put the eyeball in S tier because I see so many eyeballs get crafted against me as Deathwire, but they're just not too much of a nuisance. I hear the person chanting, I shock them through walls, I can shock them through the basement up into the library. You can shock, like, if you hear them at all, you're gonna be able to shock them for the most part. I mean, it's not like guaranteed like werewolf, maybe you're hearing them in the wrong spot, but even if the eyeball does chase you and you can't get a shock off, I feel like most of the time I'm outrunning the eyeball. So unless something happened where they maybe nerf drift in the future by 2% or 1% speed, I think the eyeball is still pretty outrunnable right now and isn't too great against a Deathwire. It's good at putting him in tough positions though, because you do have to be chased by it for a long time. So if you're getting chased by it and you're accidentally run into other teammates, then that makes it very good. Nothing you can do there. If someone else is slowing you in the slightest at all, then yeah, there's nothing you can do. So again, paired with teammates, very strong, but most of the time when I've faced one, I've just outran it outright. Not even with Nitro Booster. I don't even know what would happen with Nitro Booster, but probably even better because you get a little extra speed at the beginning. But yeah, that is my opinion on the eyeball. Now the RC Flyer I think is a little better than the eyeball because it is faster, has a lot more charges in it as well. It can slow you, it can do all that, and you can't really do anything about it. If it shocks you at all and just wastes your time by being a little bee just buzzing around you like that, it can get pretty annoying. You can't shock even if you know where the RC person is. If there's a solar flare over these people, by the way, then yeah, you're gonna have a rough time. But I think I've died a lot more to an RC Flyer compared to an eyeball because again, you can outrun the eyeball. RC Flyer can't outrun. It's very fast. If it slows you at all, even worse time right there. If it's paired with teammates, even worse time. It's a little harder to hear the controller of it, especially when the RC Flyer is near you, so you don't know where to shock compared to the eyeball, which you can clearly hear people chanting from across the universe. The RC Flyer remote is very difficult to hear, so shutting it down is tougher, but just like any other monster, you can usually hide behind a corner if it's just by itself, and you can smack it right out of the air if you get lucky. Sometimes you get unlucky, you smack over there. If you don't have Ruthless, you're probably gonna die. But for the most part, it has the same counterplay as every other monster where you hide behind a corner. Unless, of course, it's paired with other people's weapons, which it should be because it's a team game. But yeah, I think it's a little stronger than the eyeball. That's why it is in A tier compared to the eyeball in B tier. But I'm wondering where people would actually place eyeball compared to this, because I feel like I've seen the most eyeballs ever be crafted against me when I play Deathwire. They just never work out though, so who knows. But yeah, this I think is my tier list. I don't know. It feels wrong having 2 here, but 3 everywhere else except up here. I can like move this down to A, but that's just my OCD or something. But yeah, I have debated the Molotov. I don't know if it deserves that spot. I don't know if it should go right here instead. But let me know in the comments below if you agree with my list here. Hopefully there was some gameplay up on screen and this video was entertaining enough for people. Yeah, let me know down in the comments which monster you want to see me do next in this tier list. Could it be Dollmaster? You want to see Dollmaster? Which weapons work against him the best? Do you want to see other types of tier lists, like what the best mutations are on each monster? Perk tier lists for monster? I don't know. Let me know down below in the comments. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next stream or video very, very soon.